Hello everybody and welcome back once again to Let's Play the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Last time we left off, we came to Roadside where we were hoping to find Samguven, I think it was called, and locate this staff that we were trying to locate. Ah.
No offense, but you're not looking so good. Are you feeling ill?
Yes.
Until next time.
I am feeling rather peaky, actually. Ever since I got bitten by that flaming saber cat up in the hills. Yes, I feel a bit off colour, I'm afraid. I shall have to visit one of the local temples to receive my blessing to remove this cursed disease. But we shall wait until we get to Whiterun for that. Let's hope he doesn't drop dead before then. Okay, so here we are. On our last legs after being bitten and catching some foul disease. Yes, we are heading to Whiterun because the Isolde is possibly the next piece of the puzzle. She apparently knows about this staff that I am now trying to track down. And after Elwynn consulted with Brelyna, last night about just confirming things, really. Yes, so you may do. Yes, what was I saying? I was saying that she consulted with Brelyna last night over some lovely food that she cooked up using the freshest ingredients, freshly plucked from these farms. She cooked Elwynn, the innkeeper, and his son, and herself, of course. She cooked us all a roast chicken dinner with all these fresh ingredients from the Roadside farms that are thriving so healthily. It was one of the nicest and most hearty meals he's had for some time, actually. As we just check our item capacity, we've probably got a bit more room for some ingredients for our potion making. Okay, right. So we are heading back to Whiterun because we have some things to sell to empty our bags, and it'd be nice to visit there once again. Yes, we want to visit. We want to carry out some quests in this particular area. But we might as well empty our bags and finish off this one quest before doing so. Draw it to a close. Because it's been nagging at Elwynn for quite some time now about this whole drunken debauchery that happened. He wants to find out once and for all what he got up to. Has he really sullied his name that badly? He hopes not. What are you looking at? Move, foul creature! I'm in no mood for games today! Stupid wolf. They always hunt in pairs though, so where's the other one? Eh? Yes. After being... was it a skeever? Oh, it's a skeever. What's a skeever doing on the road? Yes, after being bitten by the saber cat, I think Elwyn's becoming a bit more concerned with the local fauna around here. It's rather dangerous. So yes, here we're going, once again, back to Whiterun. Seems Whiterun is the centre of the universe for Elwynn at this moment in time. It was his first place he visited, his first place he got a house, and he seems to keep returning there. It's all good stuff. Anyway, so last night, yes, we had lovely chicken dinner cooked by Brelyna, followed by a few drinks on the house. The innkeeper was so impressed with Brelyna's cooking skills that he allowed us to swill back the delightful dinner with some wine and ale on the house. It was rather kind of him, I do admit. And we drunk the night away, making most of our night off for a change. We don't usually get nights off, but yes, we had a night off from questing, from gathering items, from doing anything that remotely would be stressful. We just sat, ate, and talked about things gone by, really. What we've got up to these past month or so, since we first met Brelyna at the College of Winterhold, the adventures we've gotten ourselves into, the mischief, all those kinds of things. Even actually, now that time has passed on a little bit since the incident, Brelyna even could manage to force a smile after being burnt by Elwynn's flame cloak. Brelyna, the wolf is attacking me! Ah, flaming mutt! Down with you! Damn you, foul beasts! Have I got something stuck to me like a big piece of meat? Can they smell me a mile off? I knew I should have got a shower this morning. And who was this wandering in the road? Hello?
This one has something sweet for the fellow traveler, if it entices.
What are you talking about? You're not a drug dealer, are you?
The finest skooma, the sweetest moon sugar, at a fair price.
No, not interested. Bye. I don't take that sort of stuff. Nothing but good old wine or hearty food passes these here lips. Maybe the occasional ingredient that I'm trying to ascertain the properties of course, as well, but that's about it. I'm a habitual horticulturist. Can't help but pick these damn things when I walk past them. It's like a bit of an OCD type situation. Anyway, as we draw closer to Whiterun, I will leave you with Elwynn's, because he's quite a way away, of course. We'll enjoy the local sights and smells and whatever else. Well, smells maybe you can't experience, but you can imagine. I'm going to leave you with what Elwynn read last night. He read as almost drunk and stupor after his wine session and reminiscing about adventures gone by with Brelyna. He before finally zonking out in the bed, he actually managed to read Vacus and Balla. So as we make our way towards Whiterun, you can enjoy what Elwynn enjoyed last night. Vacus and Balla. Halgard walked into the king's ham that lawless evening, his face clouded with sadness. While he ordered a mug of grief, his mates Garaz and Ziamara joined him with moderately sincere concern. "What's wrong with you, Halgard?" asked Ziamara. "You're later than usual, and there's a certain air of tragedy you've dragged in with you. Have you lost money, or a nearest and dearest?" "I haven't lost any money," Halgard grimaced, "but I've just received word from my nephew that my cousin Aliok has died. Perfectly natural, he says, just old age. Aliok was 10 years younger than me." "Oh, that's terrible, but it goes to show that it's important to savour all of life's possibilities, because you never know when your time is coming," said Garaz, who had been sitting at the same stool at the Smoky Corner Club for the last several hours. He was not one cursed with self-awareness. "Life's too short, all right," agreed Ziamara, "but if you'll pardon a sentimental thought, few of us are aware of the influence we'll have after our deaths. Perhaps there's comfort there. For example, have I told you the story about Vacus and Balla?" "I don't believe so," said Halgard. "Vacus was a Daedra," said Ziamara, throwing a few dribbles of flin on the hearth to cast the proper mood. "And though our tale took place many, many years ago, it would be fair to say that Vacus still is one. For what after all is time to the immortal Daedra?" "Actually," Garaz interrupted, "I understand that the notion of immortality—" "I am trying to offer our friend an inspirational tale in his hour of need," Ziamara growled. "I don't have all bloody night to tell it, if you don't mind." "You wouldn't have heard of Vacus," said Ziamara, abandoning the theme of immortality for the time being, for even at the height of his power and fame he was considered feeble by the admittedly high standards of the day. Of course, this lack of respect infuriated him, and his reaction was typical of lesser Daedra. He went on a murderous rampage. Soon, word spread through all the villages in the Colovian West of the unholy terror. Whole families had been butchered, castles destroyed, orchards and fields torched and cursed, so nothing would ever grow there again. To make things even worse for the villagers, Vacus began getting visitations from an old rival of his from Oblivion. She was a Daedra seducer named Horavatha, and she delighted in taunting him to see how angry she could make him become. "You flooded a village, and that's supposed to be impressive," she would sneer. "Try collapsing a continent, and maybe you'll get a little attention." Vacus could become pretty angry. He didn't come very close to collapsing the continent of Tamriel, but it wasn't for lack of trying. A hero was needed to face the mad Daedra, and fortunately, one was available. His name was Balla, and it was said that he had been blessed by the goddess Kinnereth. That was the only explanation for his inhuman accuracy with his bow and arrow, for he never missed a target. As a child, he had driven his marksmanship shooters wild with frustration. They would tell him how to plant his feet, how to knock a bolt, the proper grip for the cord, the best method of release. He ignored all the rules, and somehow every time the arrow would catch a breath of wind and sail directly to his target. It did not matter if the quarry was still moving, or still at very close range, or miles away. Whatever he wanted to strike with his arrow would be struck. Okay, what the hell is going on here? We've got Thalmor Justicars attacking us here on sight! This is not what I signed up for, I tell you that! Ah! Damn you, Thalmor! I knew I couldn't trust you! Look for you, I have my friends to assist! Kill him! With this? Get out of it, skeleton! I'm handling this by myself, thank you very much! Ooh! Holy smokes indeed. This was bad. What the hell? Why the Thalmor attacking us? We were just going by our normal business. Okay. Do excuse me. Back to the story. Balla answered the call when one of the village mayors begged him for help. Unfortunately, he was not as great a horseman as he was an archer. As he rode through the forest toward the mayor's town, a place called Evenshagen, Vacus was already murdering everyone there. Haravatha watched and stifled back a yawn. Murdering a small town mayor isn't going to put you in a famous company, you know. What you need is a great champion to defeat. Someone like Iskramor, or Pellinor Whitestrake, or... She stared at the figure emerging from the forest. That fellow! Who's he? Growled Vacus between bites of the mayor's quivering body.
I'm amazed.
The greatest archer in Tamriel. He's never missed. Balla had his bow strung and was pointing it at the Daedra. For a moment, Vacus felt like laughing. The fellow was not even aiming straight, but he had a well-owned sense of self-preservation. There was something about the man's look of confidence that convinced the Daedra that Haravatha wasn't lying. As the bolt left the bow, Vacus vanished in a sheet of flame. The arrow impaled a tree. Balla stood and stared. He had missed a target. In oblivion, Vacus raged. Fleeing before a mortal man like that, not even the basest scamp would have been so craven. He had exposed himself for the weak, cowardly creature he was. As he considered what steps to take to salvage the situation, he found himself face to knee with the most fearsome of the Daedra princes, Molag Bal. I never thought anything much of you, Vacus, the giant boomed, but you have more than proven your worth. You have shown the creatures of Mundus that the Daedra are more powerful than the blessings of the gods. The other denizens of Oblivion quickly agreed, as they always did, with the view of Molag Bal. The Daedra are, after all, always very sensitive about their various defeats at the hands of mortal champions. Vacus was proclaimed the elusive beast, the unpursuable one, he who cannot be touched, the bane of Kinnereth. Shrines devoted to him began to be built in remote corners of Morrowind and Skyrim. Balla, meanwhile, now found flawed, was never again called to rescue a village. He was so heartbroken over his failure to strike his target that he became a hermit and never restrung a bow again. Some months later, he died, unmourned and unremembered. Is this really the tale you thought would cheer me up? Asked Halgard incredulously. I've heard the King of Worms told more inspirational stories. Wait, smiled Ziamara. I'm not finished yet. For a year's time, Vacus was content to watch his legend grow and his fledgling worship spread from his home in Oblivion. He was, in addition to being cowardly and inclined towards murderous rages, also a very lazy creature. His worshippers told tales of their master avoiding the bolts of 1,000 archers, of moving through oceans without getting wet, and other feats of avoidance that he would rather not have to demonstrate in person. The real story of his ignominious retreat from Balla was thankfully forgotten. The bad news, when it came, was delivered to him with some relish by Horavatha. He delighted in her jealousy at this growing reputation, so it was with a cruel smile she told him, "Your shrines are being assaulted." "Who dares?" he roared. "Everyone who passes them in the wilderness feels a need to throw a stone." Horavatha purred. "You can hardly blame them. After all, they represent he who cannot be touched. How could anyone be expected to resist such a target?" Vacus peered through the veil into the world of Mundus and saw that it was true. One of his shrines in Colovian West Country was surrounded by a large platoon of mercenary soldiers who delighted in pelting it with rocks. His worshippers huddled inside, praying for a miracle. In an instant he appeared before the mercenaries, and his rage was terrifying to behold. They fled into the woods before he even had a chance to murder one of them. His worshippers threw open the wooden door to the shrine and dropped to their knees in joy and fear. His anger melted. Then a stone struck him. Then another. He turned to face his assailants, but the air was suddenly filled with rocks. Vacus could not see them, but he heard mercenaries in the woods laugh. "It's not even trying to move out of the way!" "It's impossible not to hit him," guffawed another. With a roar of humiliation, the Daedra bounded into the shrine, chased by the onslaught. One of the stones knocked the door closed behind him, striking him on the back. His face broke, anger and embarrassment disappearing, replaced by pain.
Oh, the wind blows bitter cold in this place.
He turned, shaking, to his worshippers, who huddled in the shadows of the shrine, their faith shattered. "Where did you get the wood to build this shrine?" Vacus groaned. "Mostly from a corpse of trees near the village of Everskagan," his high priest shrugged. Vacus nodded. He dropped forward, revealing the deep wound in his back. A rusted arrowhead buried in a wall in the wood of the door had jolted loose in the assault and impaled him. The Daedra vanished in a whirlwind of dust. The shrines were abandoned shortly thereafter, though Vacus did have a brief resurgence as the patron spirit of limitations and impotence, before fading from memory altogether. The legend of Balla himself never became very well known either, but there are still some who tell the tale like myself, and we have the advantage of knowing what the great archer himself didn't know on his deathbed. His final arrow found its target, after all.